Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show on this Sunday, the 11th of July, 2021. Thank you for tuning in. Now, if you guys hold cryptocurrency, this is going to be an important show. You want to listen carefully to what I got to say. You know, the powers that be out there, the world's central banks, for ages and ages, they have held the power of money. And this is what's called the power of the treasury. In the time of kings, they used to have an actual treasury. They would have a treasury room, generally be full of gold. Picture a king's ransom in gold, all these different crowns and jewels and gems and piles of gold coins and everything. This was called a treasury. It was a treasure. Well, the United States has the Department of the Treasury. They still use that term, treasury. They hold the power of money. They hold the power to print money and give it value and say, hey, this is what you can pay your taxes with. And they're not going to give that power up easily. Now, the thing is, Bitcoin's not a threat. Never will be a threat to them. No more than gold's a threat to their ability to be the ones to create money. Bitcoin's not a threat. It's only capable of 3 to 7 transactions per second. And it's more like gold, than it is like the other cryptocurrencies. But there's a pile of these cryptocurrencies coming in there that are a threat to the central banks. And I'll tell you, one of the biggest threats to them, one of the things I really don't like, is these what's called stable coins and stuff. Coins like Tether. I don't like that. And in fact, these coins, are they really so stable? They peg their value to the United States dollar. Okay? And they hold collateral as in like an escrow to supposedly equal the value of the coins that they're issuing. But now, correct me if I'm wrong about this, but the collateral could be almost anything that has supposed value to the equivalent of the dollars that they submit. Maybe it's equities or maybe it's bonds. Now, I'm not absolutely certain, but I think that that the government's not going to take a bright. There's not a bright. In other words, what I'm saying is, there's very possibly not a bright future for these particular instruments. I'm thinking in my mind government crackdowns and stuff, but which direction is the government actually going to move in? And you guys need to know this if you're invested in cryptocurrencies. Are they going to allow a coin like XRP or like a coin like Cardano to take over the world and take their power away and become a very viable instrument for free market trade, and they're just going to sit back and say, hey, you know what, it's okay, we're okay with this, we're going to let you guys have the power that we've had for hundreds and hundreds of years to be the only ones to create money. Sure, we'll give it to you guys. To these coins that are a threat. Well, let's get the charts open. Let's take a look right here. Let's start the charts right here. Now, take a look at all these different companies here. You see MasterCard, PayPal, Visa, all these companies are under government regulation, but, they came out and they started this project called Libra, and they were going to create a currency, and there's a lot of big names behind Libra, They were going to put it out there. It's going to become a currency. And effectively what they were trying to do was they're trying to take the power away from the ones who actually have that power to create money. Well, it didn't happen, didn't fly. And I told you guys way back when it was first starting, I said this ain't gonna fly. But these cryptocurrencies that are open source out there, and there's a lot of them, that are a threat to the government and the government's ability to create money. They could become competition to the governments. They are under the, right now, they're in the crosshairs, in my mind, you know. Now, I don't think Bitcoin's in the crosshairs, but we're looking at different coins that are out there, like, that do have the capability, have the high transactions. They're capable of very high transactions, but an awful lot of them, you know, are open source. But we're going to examine one here, and, you know, I'm going to take my glasses off. A hash graph consensus algorithm is patented. It says, it's patented. The hash graph algorithm is protected by patents. The patents are tools designed to inhibit forking. See, you're not going to be able to fork it. Now, think about these other coins out there. They're vying for the position, you know, of being a competition to the government's new central bank digital currencies that they're going to come up with. You can bet your bottom dollar it's probably only a matter, you can probably count the months until we're facing a central bank digital currency, probably within the United States and other countries, you know. It's coming, guys, it's coming. And that's not the competition, the central bank digital currencies, that's them. And that's them still holding the power of money. In fact, actually increasing that power of money exponentially. They'll gain. They'll be able to see where you're making transactions. People will not be able to do anything without them knowing where you're spending your money. This is the power they really want. Plus, we've got problems in the fiat monetary system that the central banks, probably believe that they can solve with a central bank digital currency. Thing is, think about this. How many coins do you have out there that have the transactions per second necessary for the government to create a central bank digital currency on? Well, there's probably a handful of them. You could probably count them on one hand. But you take a look at them and examine them, and you'll see that they're open source. Except there is one of them that's capable of handling the transaction volume the government would need that's not open source. It's patented. And what does this enable, Hedera Hashgraph? The Hashgraph algorithm is protected by patents. These patents are tools designed to inhibit forking and the associated instability and loss of network effects. The absence of enterprise-grade applications running on the public networks today is particularly due to the possibility of those networks splitting into competing networks and cryptocurrencies. This represents risk to anyone considering building a mission-critical applications on these networks. So that would be the government. And what they're basically saying here, it represents a risk to anyone considering building mission-critical applications on the networks. So these open source networks represents risk. But a patented network doesn't represent these risks. So of all these coins out there you see, and all this technology, and it can be very overwhelming, technology in the system, you know, people get overwhelmed. Oh, there's this new coin coming out. Oh, Cardano is capable of a million transactions, and XRP, if they take it to the next level, it's capable of like 500,000 all this kind of stuff, and it boggles the mind, right? But what you really should be focused on is, can these networks, are they secure? Because if the government's going to have to create a central bank digital currency, they need something that's not only fast, capable of high transactions per second, they also need something that's secure for building their infrastructure on. It says the patents will allow Hedera to make a commitment to such enterprises that we will never authorize a fork. So they're not going to fork the networks. you know, this is one of the reasons why Bitcoin has had so much trouble. It's been forked a lot. You know, I mean, uh, you got Bitcoin Cash, which was a fork. You know, and the thing is this confuses people when you're able to fork something. You know, and maybe it'll create Bitcoin 1 and Bitcoin 2 and Bitcoin 3 and Bitcoin 4. You know, people say, well, there's all kinds of Bitcoins. The thing is you're not going to be able to do that with Hedera. And so this puts Hedera up and sits it up on a pedestal where the government can take a look at it and say, hey, you know what? We could build a secure, use Hedera as a source to build a secure, stable network on. Let's take a look at this now. How would CB central bank digital currency transactions affect HBAR's value? It seems central bank digital currencies is a major use case for Hedera. We have evidence of South Korea with council members in Shinam Bank and LG and the U.S. Federal Reserve, Thailand, and also Japan with council members. I also Standard Bank operating in much of Africa. With a huge number of transactions this would generate, and the requirements to be paid in USD using HBAR, would that not require the central bank's financial intermediary to acquire large numbers of HBAR? I imagine the value to grow relative to the number of transactions as demand increases to process these transactions. So what we're basically would be talking about here. Now, this is a big if, and I'm only speculating right now. But if the government were to decide to use Hedera Hashgraph as the underlying protocol for their new central bank digital currency, okay? Hedera Hashgraph, I don't think, would be the actual digital currency that the government's using. But what Hedera Hashgraph would be used for is to verify the transactions of the central bank digital currency. And the value of Hedera Hashgraph would be directly related to the amount and volume of transactions involved here, right? So I'm thinking in my mind, you know, Hedera Hashgraph right now are like 17 cents or whatever, you know. I'm thinking in my mind, hey, you know, it wouldn't be a stretch of the imagination to see them go to 20 bucks if the government actually creates a coin, a central bank digital currency that has Hedera patented technology. And those coins that the government would create, maybe they'll call them digital dollars, or maybe they'll call them Fed coin. Who knows what they'll call them? They might just call them the dollar, you know. They'll be flying around on the internet every which way, those dollars. Each time they fly around on the internet, the Hedera Hashgraph is not the dollar. It pays the transaction for when they fly around on the internet, the dollars. And so it wouldn't be inconceivable to me, you know, if that happens. Now I'm just speculating to see Hedera Hashgraph go to 20 bucks. But now, what about all these other coins like that are competition? See, Hedera Hashgraph that way, they would not be competition to the government. They would be utilized by the government and be an important part of the government's network. These other coins, though, these open source coins that are capable, the ones that are more capable, the ones that look the best, the ones that you say, hey, this coin, you know, is capable of 100,000 transactions per second. It's only cheap right now, you know, and stuff, and it's open source and everything. But what you're missing is that's the competition to the government. And as being competition to the government, it would be in the government's crosshairs, just like the Libra project. And I mean, that was a big project by the Libra, you know, they had big plans for Libra. Facebook and all of them, they were right in there, and they were going to make this new coin that was going to be just as good as the dollar. Uh-uh. Uh-uh. You know? So I don't see a big problem for Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is never going to be competition. Where I see the big problem is for these stable coins, like the biggest, most notable one is Tether. Uh, they're putting themselves right in the crosshairs, and so are these other open source coins that are capable. The ones that are more capable are more in the crosshairs. That's the way I see it. And Hedera Hashgraph, the way I see it, could be a coin that becomes a necessary part of what the government's trying to do. Now, that's just speculation, just my thoughts on it. But I figure maybe you guys want to hear what I got to say about this. Space. Excuse me, I just burped a little bit. If you're in the cryptocurrency space, you may want to hear about what I got to say about this, because it could be important, especially if you got a lot of your money invested in a lot of these coins that are not Bitcoin. Because I think Bitcoin's going to pass through this fire, because Bitcoin's more like gold. It's not a real threat. And so on the other side of this, what's it going to look like? Well, the government's just going to come down harder and harder with a heavier hand of regulation. They've already proved this is the direction that they're going to go in. They could regulate an awful lot of these other coins right out of existence that are a threat to them. The more they are a threat to them, the more they might regulate. They've already warned us. I've already told you, if you've got your money in these coins, you could lose all your money. I think they said. I think that's what they said. But they've warned you. They've already warned you. So I'm just giving you guys something to think about. I'm not against Bitcoin. I'm not against these other open source currencies, that are trying to become something big, But you got to be logical in all this. You got to take a look at the power that they have to regulate. They can regulate things right out of existence. Because we don't see Libra coin taking off, do we? Thank you guys for listening. Like and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys in the next show. Bye-bye.